Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week, very much still in the post-haunt season come-down period.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into the work we did for our haunt in just a minute, but needless to say, no one's doing the work that they got into haunting to do. Unless, I guess, you're setting up for a Christmas show, at which point, lucky fucking you. But on that note, everyone, if you want an episode from more cheery times, I guess, there's plenty out there. Check us out at the places we exist. We're hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, or X, I'm sorry, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/hauntweekly, wherever you get your podcast from. And pay special attention to the Facebook page. It's facebook.com/hauntweekly. We will be doing some live streams there probably in the not-too-distant future, next Sunday AD, as we're hoping to get back into the groove of doing some live shows again now that haunt season is behind us. So, yes, indeed, it has been an active week for haunt work, just not the fun kind.
No. We've been tearing down the yard display, was a large part of the weekend.
Yeah, we ended up spending most of our Sunday doing that.
Sunday.
Yeah, it was a large chunk of our Sunday doing that. Everything is done down in our light display except for the wrestling ring.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and of course it's now raining for 3 days.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were kind of like trying to accelerate this process as much as we could, which I now understand why every year when we take the shit back out, we curse past us for putting it up so poorly. But I think we might need to be more forgiving to past us because now we're dealing with weather and time pressures. Namely, our lawn guy was supposed to come by on Tuesday. And we was like, well, we can have everything out of the yard. And right now we have everything other than the wrestling ring. And that includes all the cords. Yeah. That includes all the lights.
All the ground skeletons.
All the supports for the ground skeletons, the light tunnel, the pumpkins. All that shit is gone. So it's better. There's just still a 12-foot by 12-foot wrestling ring in the middle of our yard. And we do need to get that taken down, but that's going to be a slightly more complicated process. But we were really big this year on trying to do this in a more orderly fashion. And in some ways we have improved.
Yeah.
I would say the coiling and separating of the cords and the lights has gone better. We definitely did that smarter. Now, I'm not sure if 9 months from now us will recognize how much smarter we did it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
9 months from now, us might really. Hey, well, I don't know. We'll have to like put a pin in this episode. See, this is the future us. Please, we're not idiots. We're just dealing with some abnormal time crunch and some really fucky weather. Because it's like we talked about when we were putting the goddamn thing up, we were under super drought conditions.
Yeah. Which
in New Orleans it does not happen.
Right.
Unfucking heard of, especially summertime. Unfucking heard of. Wildest shit ever for me from a weather standpoint. And now we're basically reliving the first act of Noah's Ark.
Well, the first 3 days at least.
The first 3 days. Because, apparently it started raining this morning at like 7 or 8 a.m. before we got up, realistically. Yeah. And it's not supposed to stop till sometime around the heat death of the universe. But no seriousness, it's not supposed to even consider stopping until Thursday.
Yeah.
Now, on the positive side, that means the yard mowing got pushed back. So that gives us a few extra days, but I don't know how many of those days will be dry.
No.
So that's fun. But no, we're trying to also do things like organize our PVC. We're trying to, make sure our PVC is the length we think it is.
Yeah, because we found out this season that not all of it is.
No, yeah. We for most of the time we've been doing this, we've been using hand cutters, which is stupid. Especially when you have a goddamn chop saw just sitting there ready to cut things like PVC pipe.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the ideal tool? No. Is it necessarily the super correct tool? No. Does it work? Yes. Shut up. I'm not taking questions. But Yeah, so one of the results is a lot of our pipe was like the 4-inch segments would be 4-foot segments rather would be like half an inch off or a quarter inch off, or some cases like an inch off.
Yeah.
And that made it real difficult to put this shit together. So hopefully next year we'll have this pipe measured, we'll have it cut to the correct length, and the Tinker Toy set will build much, much faster.
Yes, and we're, planning on expanding the Tinker Toy set.
Yeah,
because
tentative plan, yeah.
Yeah. Because our arches, our Gothic arches that we have are...
That we actually got at Haunter's garage sale.
No.
I thought we picked those up from there.
No, we didn't.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a different one.
Oh.
That's long ago. We did pick up one from there, but it wasn't these.
Okay, well, no, you're right. We got these shipped to us, and it was very comical how they got shipped. I remember now.
Yeah.
Because the packaging was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because these are like 7-foot arches, but they came in a box, like a shoebox.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so ridiculous.
But basically, some of the supports on them have broken because they've been used for 3 or 4 years, and so we're just going to PVC it all the way.
Yeah, you can tell these were not arches that were meant to be put down, pulled up, put down, pulled up, put down, pulled up repeatedly. Mm-hmm. You're right. They are wearing. Now, this is probably their last year. And we have a tentative plan for to do a full PVC tunnel the whole way around. Because now that we've actually gotten kind of the hang of building these tunnels, there's an opportunity there to do something I think pretty goddamn cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be replacing other things that we've used in the yard. Hopefully the ground won't be so hard next year.
Yeah, I guess that's really what it's going to depend on, because if the ground is as hard next year as it was this year, I am not fucking doing this.
No.
I've already got, hurt in my hand from all the rubber malleting this year. Mm-hmm. Well, it didn't help that I also whacked the shit out of it once, but I know I'm not doing that again. Mm-hmm. But anyways, on that note, every week we ask a question of the week, and last week we asked you what was your favorite moment from the 2023 haunt season, and y'all came out with some good answers.
Yeah.
Crystal, kick us off.
James Munsell said, finding a 4-foot snake in one of my scenes. I saw the video. The video is up on our Facebook page. It's commented. And that was a big snake. That
fucking happened. I think that may actually be the first video comment we've gotten on Facebook.
Probably.
Victor Ruelas said, seeing guest face light up when they were told there was a haunted house because they moved it from the front of the house to the back of the house. Mm-hmm. Assumingly to give more room, less annoyance in the neighbors, da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, I can see that people pull up, go, where's the haunted house? And you're like, it's in the backyard. And then people get excited. And yeah, that does sound awesome.
Yeah. Brian Gacky and Jeremy Frick said the Haunters Against Hate takeover at Niles Scream Park. It looked like it was an awesome weekend.
I'm still getting photos of that on my Facebook, fed to me by the algorithm, and I am not sad about that. That is a triumph of the algorithm. Mm-hmm. It is actually making me engage with Facebook, which is something that I do as little as I can these days.
Yeah.
But anyways, this week's question of the week ties in with today's overall theme, which is, what haunt actor has surprised you the most? Mm-hmm. And I think, for me, the haunt actor that surprised me the most is actually one we're going to be using as our example this week, so I don't want to go too deep into it.
Okay.
But we also had, but to give another one, we had a friend of ours, his kids worked it. And this is back when we allowed kids, but granted the parents were here, so it wasn't a big deal. But this kid weighed 80 pounds soaking wet. Mm-hmm. He was nothing. You blew on him too hard, you knock him over, it looked like. Which is funny because his dad's like a really muscle man, personal trainer type. Mm-hmm. And they're just like so opposite one another in physique. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's A, hilarious, but B, wonderful. And I'm like, this kid, and he's so upbeat, he's so kind, he's such a good kid. Yeah. It's like, where's this kid gonna find his sinister? Where's he gonna find?
And by kid, we're talking about 14.
Yeah,
at that time,
mid to late teen, actually.
Yeah.
Put in perspective, we're in our 40s. Exactly. Kid is a very, very relative term.
If you're not in your late 30s, you're a kid. Okay.
I'm sorry. It's just how we're gonna be. But man, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we put him in a cage because he wanted to be in a cage,
Mm-hmm.
which no actor wants to be put in a cage.
Nope.
We put him in a cage, and Jesus, tap dancing, Christ on a cracker. That kid flung himself around the cage with such reckless abandon. We had to literally rebuild it almost every night just to keep it from being destroyed.
Yeah.
This kid had so much energy and so...
Yeah, that was before... I think that was probably one of the first instances of learning that actors can be destructive.
Yeah, and we have to overbuild
scenes.
everything.
Yeah.
Because that's one of our friends who helps us do the build sometimes, does set design.
Yeah.
And one of the issues we keep running into with them is, hey, we can't build to Hollywood set.
Right.
We have to build shit that's going to get knocked around, have actors and guests crash into it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to build this like it's going to take a fucking hit or 100 because it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's something I've been trying to get through both my head and theirs and everybody's, because you have to think that way.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that was one of those lessons of, okay, it's not enough to build it correctly. It's not enough to build it well. We have to build it over well.
Yeah.
You know, it can't be well done. It has to be burnt. It has to be congratulations.
It's charcoal. It's no longer edible.
Exactly. Well done's pretty much inedible. Anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Do you have another one? I think that's one that I think we both agree on.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because we were actually...
There are so many.
There are so many, but that was one I'll just never forget, because of all the actors I expected to destroy my shit, that was last on the list.
I think that I'm also going to throw our doctor out there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had never been to a haunt.
Nope.
Never acted in a haunt. Didn't really watch scary movies, but wanted to be in the haunt. And he was such a presence that he commanded the space and didn't need a lot of direction.
No. And it didn't hurt that he was built like a, once again, very, very strong looking dude, and could be very intimidating just by being in the scene physically, which is something we're going to get into, actually. Yeah,
but one of the things that he did was he found a way to hide, being that big.
And that's the instinct you can't teach.
Yeah, that is one of the secrets that we'll be talking about.
He found a way to make himself invisible, which is impressive. Like I said, he was taller than me and way stronger, way bigger than me. But yet, you're right. He just, when he wanted to not be found, you weren't going to find him. Mm-hmm. And he managed to hide behind a fucking coat rack, if I remember correctly. Like an IV stand turned coat rack. Yeah. Like, there's no fucking way a man that size can hide behind that, but sure enough, he made it happen. Mm-hmm. Good use of the angles. All right. Before we jump into this week's topic, which is, so you think you can't scare people. Yeah. ... A quick update on McKamey Manor. We're going to talk more about this next week. It's a news episode anyway. But I did want to assure people that we had seen the news that McKamey Manor is being investigated by the Tennessee Attorney General's office. The AG office didn't really say why, what they're investigating for. It's a bit unclear.
Well, it's because of the way that the structure is set up where he's at, is that they don't have an actual sheriff there. It's the state troopers that are over where his house is. Which
I don't know. That is something that's very common in very rural parts. Like, it's near. I'm pretty sure that would be a thing like in many of the places near where your parents live.
Yeah, it would.
Maybe not where your parents specifically live, but nearby.
Yeah. Because, in between areas.
Yeah, and he seems to exist in one of those in between places. In fact, oddly enough, actually, it's not just rural places. Because remember, Ellie's old house was an unincorporated outside Belleville. Yeah. And so they would have had state troopers, too. Mm-hmm. Same deal. But anyways, so it's unclear what they're investigating. People are attributing it to the Hulu documentary. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm wondering if Reckless Ben might have caused some of this.
Reckless Ben definitely had an impact, but Reckless Ben also said that the Hulu documentary was supportive in bringing these charges.
Yeah. I have not watched the Hulu doc yet.
No.
And it's because it tears me in three different ways. One is I don't want to support anything with McKamey Manor's name on it that might be remotely helping them.
No.
But the second is I feel like I need to see it because, podcast job, things like that. And the third is I just don't want any more fucking McKamey Manor in my life that doesn't involve Reckless Ben.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, those are the 3 ways I'm being pulled on this. To let me know, should we watch it? Should we talk about it? HauntWeekly.com, HauntWeekly on Twitter, HauntWeekly on Facebook, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Yeah, just let us know. I'm curious what your thoughts are. If you've seen it, let us know if maybe I'm being an idiot here.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, we had an interesting conversation with an actor this year.
Yeah.
Well, you did, so why don't you lay it out?
Well,
I wasn't there. Fuck this.
Well, basically, when we were getting ready to build the haunt this year, they were disappointed with last year's performance for them, as I had stuck them in the front room, and didn't really give them a lot of instruction, and that's on me for not working with them more. But they said they couldn't be intimidating and they couldn't be scary, that there was no way they could scare people. And they said that the reason is because they're short.
And let's be clear, they are short. They're not like, they're about 5 feet.
Yeah, they are dead. Yes.
About 5 foot dead even. So they're about a foot shorter than me. But basically, yeah, they felt they were too short and too small in general to really get good reactions.
Yeah.
And you took one look at him and go, oh, you want to scare people. Mm-hmm. We're going to make that happen. You're going to scare people this year. And by Lord, did she.
Yes, they did.
Did they? Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, and I didn't tell them what they were going to be doing until like 2 weeks before we opened.
Well, and that was actually a good strategy because I really think if you had told them, doubt would have crept in, and
they still had enough time to doubt. They still told me before we opened that this wasn't going to work. This wasn't going to be scary. Oh
my Lord, it worked though. It worked so fucking well. So what did you do?
Basically an elevated dot room. Put them in the museum room with this room had various heights.
A lot of verticality play.
Yeah. There were things in the ceiling, there were things on the ground, there were lots of dummies that were people-sized and not people-sized, and one of them was an 8-foot animatronic that we got maybe in 2005?
I don't remember when we got it. I think we either got it as a gift.
Yeah.
Or we got it at like a Spirit Halloween sale or something like that.
Yeah, it was definitely a gift.
It was not something I don't think we would ever have bought for ourselves.
I don't know. The early days, it was weird.
We still have Fred and Wilma from those days, but yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We obtained it somehow and have never really found much use for it.
No, and it stopped. As far as I know, it doesn't work anymore.
It's a spirit prop. It doesn't work anymore. That's just...
Well, so back...
But back then, spirit props were better. Fred and Wilma still worked to our knowledge.
Exactly. So I made it like 8 feet tall, and the idea was that the actor was the dress. Not a full character, just the dress.
Kind of hiding underneath this torso of the animatronic. Yeah.
Yeah. And they would come out towards the groups.
Yeah, and the basic idea was we didn't do shit on this room. You put like this really flowing tulle dress on the animatronic. The animatronic was really meant to be like a tabletop thing.
Yes.
And so you just made the table way up in the ceiling.
Exactly.
We put it on a huge platform way up over like even our heads, and gave it a long flowing dress. And then the actor, blackout suit with lots of tulle.
Yeah.
Would then hide in the dress. And then all of a sudden the dress, but not the top part, the dress comes to life.
Yeah.
Was the idea. It was simple, brilliant, and so effective.
Yes.
This actor said that they must have the scariest arms in the world.
Yes, exactly.
Repeatedly talk, because their arms were bare.
Yeah.
Which actually added to it. I mean, normally I would say, no, cover the arms. You don't want anything showing on this type of scare. No, it actually really, because oh shit, that's because they would keep the arms like behind them until they would come out and like go to like hug them, pretend like they're hugging or something. And oh shit, that's a person.
Yeah.
Would be.
And they were hugged once by a very adorable little girl.
Yeah, well, that man, we've talked about it before. Little kids are a crapshoot in a haunted house like this. Yeah. Some of them just go through with smiles on their face and love in their heart, and some of them don't like the loud noises.
Yeah.
But anyways, it got us talking about there are probably a lot of people out there who think they can't think like this actor did, that they can't scare, when all they need is the right setup.
Exactly.
They need, and specifically, and a lot of this, something we're going to come back to a lot, is they need haunt builders to think about this setup. Exactly. When they're doing the construction, because that's one thing that it always seems to be a disconnect at a lot of haunts. The builders and the actors aren't really working together that much.
Yeah, and you know, we are in a weird situation because we designed for the actors we have. Mm-hmm. Like, we have a crew that's been with us for a while. We know there's last year was their first year, so didn't know their weaknesses or their insecurities.
Well, when we knew about them fairly well, but we thought we were playing to their strength of being a communicator.
Yes.
They are a communicator in their day job.
Yeah.
And so that seemed natural, stick them in a communications role where they get to talk and interact and play with, but that didn't work out too well for them. And that's okay. Hauntland is often the upside down. It's often the negative world.
Exactly.
People that do great in one thing, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But here's the thing. If you're an actor that thinks you can't scare, I'm going to tell you the things you actually do need in order to be scary. And then we're going to talk about some of the reasons people think they can't be scary and sort of find out how to make it work for them. Mm-hmm. All right. First, you need the ability to take direction. Please, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Come with the ability to take direction. Listen to others and apply what you learn.
Right. And don't come in thinking that you know how you're going to be scary.
Yeah.
Because if you are in this position where you don't think you can be scary, obviously you're not going to have the best idea of what'll work.
But the thing is, like, I think one of the problems is some people who think they can't be scary come into a haunt, they they have a few things that doesn't go well, basically.
Yeah.
Few groups don't go well. Someone comes in and goes, okay, you need to change it up to this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. And rather than doing this, this, and this, they just assume it's a failing on their part and it's done.
Yeah.
Don't take the direction, take the advice, trust me. Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, the second thing is
adaptiveness, the ability to see what's working and what's not. So if you aren't getting the scares you want, don't worry. Just change.
Yeah. Like, once again, going back to our doctor. Mm-hmm. First few groups struggled. Not getting scares, struggling with timing. Looked at the scene, found a way to hide and pop out, and boom, it all clicked. That's adaptiveness.
Yeah. Sometimes
adaptiveness is the smallest change, but a small change can make a huge difference. Like you in that shower curtain in Chamber of Horrors.
Yeah.
Same thing. That room sucked until you made it work because you had to adapt. You have to have a willingness to fail. Ain't nobody going to bat 1,000 in a haunted house ever. Mm-mm. Just know that no matter how good you are, a certain percentage of groups you're not going to get the scare. But once again, to quote Japes, we can't scare everyone, but we can entertain everyone. No. So focus on that.
An enjoyment of haunting.
This is a dumb moment.
Okay, so it is a dumb moment, but we had a new person this year who I thought was going to be great and was going to love it, and they worked one night and didn't come back.
Yeah.
Because I could tell within the first hour, I'm like, how are you enjoying it? Oh, yeah, it's fun. It's like, no, you're not getting it. Yeah. And I don't know why, but they weren't.
Haunting is not for everyone. If it were for everyone, everyone would do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really wish that they would have come back and would have accepted a different role, because I had what I think would have been a better role for them.
Yeah. You also need an understanding of there are many types of scary.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely focus very heavily on distract and startle in our haunt. There are a myriad of ways to be scary. Mm-hmm. Not all of them include pop-outs and startling people.
No.
Some involve being much more unsettling, like, I don't know, coming out from underneath the dress in an 8-foot animatronic.
Yeah, exactly.
It has a little bit of a startle in it, but the reality is that is also just...
That's not supposed to happen.
It's a brain-breaking fear.
Exactly. You could also just be creepy. Like, singing in haunted houses.
Oh, yeah.
Really weirds people out.
Yeah, exactly. It really does. Sing nursery rhymes. Sing something. Mm-hmm. Sing public domain shit. but sing. That said, you do need a haunt owner that's building for various scares. There's so many haunts out there that are immaculately decorated, immaculately lit, gorgeous to look at and walk through, with no concept of what the fuck the actor is going to do in there.
Yeah, and I really wish that some of the owners would bring, and maybe they do, maybe it's just my perception, is that they don't work with the actor, manager, and the set designers whenever they're in the first phases of planning.
Yeah. It seems like there's a big divide. Like most of the year, the haunt build teams there doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And then the haunt actor managers and actors come closer in the season in September, and they're showing up at functionally a finished haunt.
Exactly.
And that's not good. So yeah, basically, within that.
Yeah. Also, know your limitations.
Yeah.
Because everybody has limits. We don't want you to injure yourself. We don't want you to
burn yourself out.
Burn yourself out. Or to get into your own head thinking that you're the problem.
Yeah.
When it's probably that you were put in a scare that wasn't right for you.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, make sure you understand how the room's going to work. Make sure you understand what's going on. Anyone can be scary if given the correct environment.
Exactly.
And so, okay, and real fast, before we kick into this, we'll be talking about people with different body types, ways people are differently abled, etc., etc., etc. If that is bothersome to you or triggering to you in some way, there are 414 other episodes. Please go check those out. Most of them are at least mediocre.
Yeah.
Some of them are even good. Go check those out. We don't want anyone to upset anyone or anger anyone. We're definitely not trying to body shame or disability shame or be ableist here.
Yeah.
We're trying to show that haunting is an activity scaring people is an activity that can be enjoyed by pretty much everyone who enjoys it and is willing to invest, the time, the energy into learning the skill. Speaking of which, we'll start with the one we learned the most about. I'm too short.
Yeah.
If you think you can't scare people because you're too short, you need to shut up. I'm sorry. Because short people are great for scaring. I do not. That is an advantage in many circles.
Yeah, well, and it's because a lot of people think, giants are the best scarers. It's like wrestling rules.
Well, yeah, and there is something to be said. We just talked about, our doctor and a couple other people we had who were big, massive physical presences, and you just knew that, oh shit, that's a huge dude when you walked into the room. Yeah, that's a thing. But here's the thing. Somebody appearing where they're not supposed to appear is scary too, almost regardless of the size of the person. And so short people are easier to hide.
Yeah, and that could be, from just about anywhere.
Yeah. Basically, you might not be physically intimidating, but you can be really creepy. And like this actor we're talking about, who's 5 feet, to put that in context, the average skeleton you buy for your yard display is 5 feet.
Yeah.
So they were the exact same height as our skeletons, which means they're also the exact same height of dolls and other things that are quote unquote adult size, but they always make them 5 feet, and I don't know why. That is a thing that seems to be true though. But yeah, that is so easy to blend in and hide.
Yeah. And you can do vertical attacks from either down below or up above,
because you can get in tinier spaces.
Exactly. I mean,
there have been many, many times I've been haunting. I wished I had like 6 inches to a foot taken off my height, because I would fit into places better and be more comfortable in that area.
Yeah.
Like even going back to when we worked at Chambers, in that little nook I had to hide out in the blackout hallway. If I had been like 6 inches shorter, I probably would have been much more comfortable.
Yeah.
But no, they had to put my 6 foot ass in this tiny ass nothing burger of a space. But yeah, this is a great. And if someone, because what doesn't work as well is just you being in a room and people walking into the room and scaring.
Yeah. Because
you're not going to get that immediate physical intimidation. That's why coming out from hiding. That's why attacking from above or below. That's the strategy. Use the force, Luke. Use the shortness to your power. It is great. Some people actually do say that they are too tall.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as common as saying they're too short, but I have seen some great scares where really tall people, or sometimes even accented with like platforms or stilts, like you mentioned in the shows, they sit down and then stand up.
Yeah.
And it's just like uncanny valley because they go from being because like when tall people sit down, they're fairly normal height, and then they stand up. Oh shit!
Yeah.
You're way up there, aren't you?
Well, and if you're tall, don't feel like you can't lean into it.
Yeah.
Because we have worked with some actors who, in their day-to-day life, try to make themselves smaller to avoid accidentally scaring people.
Yeah.
You can leave that at the door.
Yeah.
You don't have to bring that into the haunt. Use that,
Yeah. So basically, yeah, tall, I think, is a little easier to see how you can scare people with it, but at the same time, yeah, I can understand why people might think I'm too tall, I'm too awkward, I'm too, gangly for this. I'm too thin or otherwise small, going to more to body type now. I'm just going to say this, Jim Warfield is living proof that you do not need to be a muscle man to be a great haunter and get amazing scares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very similar to the being short situation, in that you're might not be able to physically intimidate. Because I remember the first time I was in a room with Jim Warfield, I'm like, this is Jim Warfield? He's like nothing. He's barely there. And then he starts doing his shit, and then it's genuinely unsettling and terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically it's very similar to that. You're easier to hide. Focus on scares which allow you to pop out. Focus on scares in which allow you to hide around corners or hide in places in which a human being should not fit into.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, verticality. Play with it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot you can do with that.
Yeah. And then the opposite of that is the I'm too large.
Yeah.
This is basically me. I put this in for me because I am a large person. But what I do is I move quickly and silently and can invade space without anybody noticing.
Mm-hmm. You have always, as long as I've known you, you've walked on your toes.
Yeah.
You don't walk like a human being. Like, if people saw your footprints in the forest, they would probably assume some weird human-shaped foot animal left those.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, well, it's not Sasquatch. He walks heel to toe, but it's...
I do have big feet. But, yes.
But no, you walk on the balls of your feet, which will get you kicked out of any marching band, but is very, very silent.
Right. And it, I can move faster than people expect me to move. And when people see me, I can, once you get moving, I just kind of throw my body everywhere as an erratic movement that people don't expect it.
Yeah.
Because not everyone who is a larger person is, unable to move.
Yeah.
And if you are unable to move, then there are scares for you too.
We've got more coming down. We go through this. But yeah, no, I definitely think your point here is it's about, because haunting in general, and we've said this a million times, is about defying expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
And when society sees a skinny person or a bigger person or a tall person or a short person, people craft expectations in their head.
Yeah.
And maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe that's because we're all flawed people, but we do. And when you break those expectations, it really fucks with people. So basically, and you probably already know what is quote unquote expected with your particular body type. Go against that.
Yeah.
Do whatever is not that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Nope.
All right. Well, my voice is too non-threatening.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If your voice is too non-threatening, shut up. No, but seriously, if you're not confident enough in your voice, don't talk.
No.
You don't need to. In fact, and I honestly believe this, I was thinking about all the haunts we went to last year. I think we could have eliminated about half of the actors who talked and not missed a damn thing if they'd done something else.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of actors would be better suited, regardless of lack of confidence of the voice, with not talking, because there are other ways to make noise. You can hit things. Please hit things that are meant to be hit, though.
Yeah.
The classic shaker can is super effective. Or as you found, the clackety-clackety, the weird rooster call thing that we had from Budapest. You know, you can find noisemakers. Or if you do use your voice, don't go for the intimidation. If you have a very soft, very gentle voice, you entered the twilight zone of creepy. Especially if you're like a full-ass adult and you have that. Because you can sing songs like you were talking about earlier.
Right.
You can, if you have a creepy laugh, like we had one of those in the haunt this year, and god damn, that worked well.
Yeah, and apparently he had been working on that laugh for a year and perfecting it.
Really? I didn't know this.
Yeah, this is what his dad told me whenever we were talking. He decided he didn't sign up for the haunt until like
a week before,
3 weeks before opening.
Yeah, about 2 to 3 weeks before opening.
Yeah. So, but I don't know why he was perfecting it, but he was, because he just picks up things and
and you put him in that expressionless mask. It is genuine. Like this is the last thing you see before the sound of tearing flesh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, you can make noises. You can make, and one of the things is if you do not have a speaking role. If you're going to make a noise, if you can spell it, don't say it. That's the Jape system.
Yeah, we're doing Jape's the rules of Jape'squisition here from Star Trek. But yeah, no, that's a generally very good rule. My advice though is, like, if you have a voice that you don't feel is intimidating or scary, either stop talking, like you said, or make noise some other way. Or if you're going to need to talk or speak, don't try to intimidate with it. Don't try to turn a non-intimidating voice into an intimidating voice. Even if you can do it, you're likely going to hurt or strain your voice in the process.
Yeah. And, I don't know. I struggle with this one because a lot of people would think that I don't have a threatening voice. But
you're not what I'm picturing when I think of actors with not threatening voices.
Well, nobody can hear me.
Fair enough. Yeah, you are the reason our audio levels suck.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
But yeah, basically, don't let your voice be a factor in this decision at all.
So, what are you picturing?
I'm picturing people with very meek, very squeaky voices.
Oh, like in Police Academy.
Yeah, Jonesy from not Jonesy, the girl from Only Live from Police Academy.
Yeah,
that. Of course, she can make her voice intimidating as she does for the joke, but
and it does. It's great.
But the thing is, like, you don't need to do that to be a successful haunter. You don't need to have that ability. All right, the next one is actually one of my favorites. I'm in a wheelchair. Here's the thing: if you have never actually steered yourself in a wheelchair, it is a major talent.
Yeah,
it is.
I actually tried to get myself into the door of the haunt with the wheelchair, and I couldn't do it. Jonathan could. Like we still have all of the space and stuff, but
yeah, I was able to pull it off. But the thing is, like, okay, I knew how to do it because I've actually had to do it in the past. I knew how to do it mentally, but I did one run through that haunt. 2-minute, 3-minute ride through the haunt. Yeah. I was pooped on the other side. I was tired. My arms were barking, man. It is hard, both physically and mentally, to use a wheelchair well. This is such a great talent and creates such an amazing movement that it can be exploited. Because you can have this very unexpected, very silent, very swift movement.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm thinking about it, and I don't know if the people who are using wheelchairs in haunted houses, unless they get up, obviously, if they are,
taking full advantage of it.
Well, not only that, but or if that is their life. I'm trying to find the best way to,
Yeah.
Because there are doctor scenes, there are scenes where wheelchairs fit in.
Yeah. And being able, like, I think it'd be really creepy in, like, one of those scenes, like a hospital, if your stalker was in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Just like casually staying like 5 paces behind the group, sneering.
Yeah.
And everyone just...
Every once in a while, just getting closer.
Exactly. You're trying to get away from this person in a wheelchair who's just silently stalking. That would actually be intimidating as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you might need some extra space, there might be some need for a custom build, but there are scares that can definitely work with a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this might be something where you need to talk with the haunt you want to work with early so they can build something and have something set up. But there's definitely ways to make this work. And if you can't find ways to make it work, you lack imagination.
Well, and
they lack imagination, rather.
And every haunt should be ADA accessible. Yes. I know that a lot of them aren't, but they should be.
Yeah, but this might require a build on the actor side of things.
Yes.
Next up.
Have other movement difficulties. Don't injure yourself.
Yeah, obviously.
We don't want you to injure yourself. Talk with your team about what you're able to do ahead of time. Like, talk with them early.
And be sure to include both what you're physically and mentally capable of doing. Don't put yourself in a position you're mentally or emotionally uncomfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very important thing. But yeah, talk to the build team in advance. I'm pretty sure you can be used as a scare actor and get good reactions, though, with almost any limitation.
Yeah, we've had several actors with back issues that were fine either standing for the 3 hours or sitting for the 3 hours, but not going between the two.
So we built sitting scares.
Yes, we did.
And some of those were incredibly effective. The old mirror blood and guts gag.
Yeah.
Incredibly effective still to this day.
I really want to bring that back next year.
Yeah, we'll have to rebuild it from scratch. But honestly, now that we know how to build it, I bet we can do a way better job.
Exactly.
Because we did not do a particularly good job last time.
No.
Some people think they're too old. Says who?
Yeah.
Seriously, says who? I don't even want to honor this one with much thought, because if you think you're too old, once again, go back, find what your boundaries, your limitations, physically and mentally, and work within those. But haunters work at any age.
Yeah.
And honestly, haunting is in many ways a young person's game, because it is so physical.
Mm-hmm.
But believe me, there are still plenty of people who are not quote unquote young in haunting getting good reactions. So let's just move on.
Yeah. The next one is I'm too nice. And there are people who are perceived as nice.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I'm one of those people usually.
Well, and
either people perceive me as nice or are terrified of me. And that's been that way my entire life.
Yeah, with this one, I think, once again, it goes back to you probably already, because you've lived as who you are for your entire life.
Yeah.
You know kind of what people automatically have the expectations of with you.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to flip the script. You can pretend to be nice and then snap and then do crazy stuff. Or you can just be mean, because there is something very, very scary about a seemingly nice person behaving like a cruel monster.
Yeah.
It's very unsettling. You know how people clock you pretty well. Do the opposite of that.
Yeah. And, lure them in.
Yeah.
Lure them in with the niceness.
If everyone thinks you're nice, just start out going, oh, hello, thank you for coming. It's so nice to see you. Be nice. And then just flip the script or, you know.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun. You're going to enjoy this so much. We're going to pull the guts right out of you, and you're not even going to feel it.
Yeah.
Just start talking creepy.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't say pull the guts out of them, because you can't actually do that.
But you get the idea.
But yes.
Don't think you can't be scary because you are the quote-unquote wrong race or ethnicity. We've not actually heard this one, at least not directly in our haunt, thankfully. But heading it off, haunting is for everyone. Basically, that's the whole point of this. Haunting is for everyone. So there's no quote-unquote wrong race or ethnicity. Just end that there.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, we have a few more here that come up a lot. One is, I'm too new.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was new at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. Don't let anybody tell you that they were always a veteran.
No.
So if you're working at a haunt, follow the lead of veteran actors. Talk to your zone leaders. Talk to your actor managers. Talk to people. Listen. Ears open, mouth closed is the best advice I can give you.
Mm-hmm.
Be ready to listen. Be open to learning. See all the stuff above. If you're home haunting yourself, if you're wanting to build a home haunt yourself,
mm-hmm.
and you're scared because you're too new, start simple.
Yeah.
Go very small, very basic. Try to build maybe a drop panel or something like that. Like, that's how we got started.
Yeah.
It was basically just a drop panel.
Yeah, we had drop panel because of when we bought the house. We didn't even use the full garage.
No, we used about the very first year here. I think we used maybe half of it full.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but about half. Yeah, but start simple. Keep it easy. Don't try to take any big swings. Focus on getting one or two things right.
Yeah.
And then take those things into the next year and get two more things right. Then get a few more things right.
Mm-hmm.
And add. That's how you build it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, start something small, manageable, expand and grow. And also, all hail YouTube. Because it has been a boon for us haunters. Because like when we were coming up as haunters back in the olden days, haunters liked to keep secrets from one another, which was bad for the industry of haunting in general. So now there's much more sharing, much more, much easier to find tutorials and things like that. So all hail you, King YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also ask for extra time to practice and really hone your scare if it's available.
Yeah. If you can do that, absolutely. And get someone who is a veteran there to like give you feedback on it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. I'm too broke or poor.
Yeah.
So simple scares are still effective.
They're actually the best in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need a fancy set or a fancy costume or anything like that. I mean, I got my starting home haunting way back with when I was with my parents, using nothing but trash bags and whatever Walmart costume I picked up that year.
Yeah.
But I learned, play with expectations, learn where to hide, be somewhere that you're not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Well, and I mean, and to be honest, we don't use a lot of store-bought costumes in our haunt even now. Almost, we're approaching 20 years in 2 years.
Yeah, no, don't remind me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're more of Goodwill and oh shit, these jeans tore. Oh well, zombie pile.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, we call it the clothes pile, the zombie pile, typically.
Yeah, or the skeleton.
Or the zombie/skeleton pile, because that's just when clothes are too worn, and that includes shoes, to be used for people. They get used for dummies. They get used for skeletons. They get used as costume bits.
Exactly.
So yeah, don't throw away clothes.
Yeah, and also, you don't have to have the high-end makeup. I actually have had some of my most successful looks with Dollar Tree makeup.
Well, and like when we had one of our best makeup artists helping us, all they used was Knox gelatin and dyes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the makeup kit.
Yeah.
Literally, I just told you everything that was in it.
Yeah.
Pigments plus Knox gelatin can go a long way. So yeah, don't focus on spending a lot of money. You don't need to buy the 12-foot Home Depot skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Just focus on some simple scares that are easy to build and easy to do. And yeah, it'll serve you very well, because once you master those, if you do get money and you can add those expensive elements, it'll be cool, but your fundamentals will be strong. I'm too easily scared. I don't like haunted houses. I'm too scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, take it from us. Literally, every person who has agreed to act in our haunt but was tepid because they were too scary, loved being an actor.
Yeah.
This is the opposite of being scared. It's the legitimate, literal opposite.
Yes, you have the power now. I mean, it is a power trip.
It is.
To be able to scare people that much, that consistently.
Yeah, it really is. And you're not the one being scared. So if you don't like going to haunted houses, acting in a haunted house may be exactly what you need to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
It may legitimately be your best approach for enjoying this art form, is being on that other side of it. And we've seen that time and time again. Oh, I don't like haunted houses. I scare too easy. I don't want to act in one. Well, just try it for an, and then they get addicted.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, it's a power trip, and that is a hell of a drug.
It is. It really is.
And finally,
we're going to talk about a few scares that are to consider if you don't have confidence in your ability yet.
Yep.
These are easy ones that pretty much anyone could slip into.
Great.
Dot rooms, elevated dot rooms. Super simple scare. You just hide into the background, and then you're not part of the background anymore.
Yeah, you design the room so the background and you blend, basically. And then you come out of that. Mm-hmm. It is, it's a classic. It's been around since the JC haunt era.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the fucking weird thing. It always fucking works.
Yep.
It's amazing. Especially, like, I remember when we were at, we went to Netherworld.
Mm-hmm.
One of the last rooms they had was an actual fucking dot room. Like, literally a dot room. And you know what? It fucking worked even then.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest haunts of all time, the mega haunts of the country. One of the last rooms was a fucking dot room, and it still worked. I mean,
and the ghillie suits are, basically dot rooms for plants.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like from Chamber of Horrors again, going back to that. In the ghillie suit that would hide in a planter.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most consistent scares of the entire team.
Yeah.
And I include myself.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the most consistent hitting scare because he looked like a fucking bush. I gotta give him credit. Drop panels though, / interactive scares like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hesitate to mention drop panels because it's always seen as kind of a demotion for an actor. A lot of actors see that as a demotion. But it's also a great way to hone your skills and build your timing.
Exactly.
Because you don't have to think about anything other than when you're dropping that panel.
Yeah. And the other thing that those types of scares are really good for are introverts or people who don't know how to deal with crowds well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives you a chance to be by yourself.
And it's also, if you're particularly scared about like getting hit or punched by customers, it helps because you have an automatic retreat space built into it.
Yeah.
You don't have to custom build a retreat space. You have one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I honestly, I love drop panels and I kind of regret we haven't done one in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that we kind of overdid it and maybe burned that bridge years ago. But we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Any scare where you can be paired with someone else, especially if you're new, a more experienced actor.
Yeah.
But because here's the thing, you can be distracted, they can be to startle, you can be to startle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can work out how this room is going to be, and it gives you a chance to try both sides of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
If
they're willing to do it.
If they're willing to do it, yeah.
Because there are a lot of people who do not want to be distracts. They just want to be scares. But I actually think it takes a lot more finesse to
absolutely.
Be able to distract someone long enough for the scare to happen.
Yeah. And think about it like this, right? Like, the distract has to hold the attention of the crowd coming in for several seconds.
Yeah.
For like, we'll say 5 to 10 seconds. And that might not seem like long, but in a haunt, it's a fucking eternity. The person doing the startle just has to get that like 10 millisecond reaction.
Yeah.
I think it requires at least as much, if not more, at the very least, a very different set of skills to be a distract than a startle. I really do. So don't look at being a distraction as a demotion. It is absolutely not, because that is a hard ask, especially in a lot of, well, I'm just going to say questionably designed rooms where you have to hold for like an inordinate amount of time. Yeah,
and we had an actor this year that actually got to play both sides. They were the distract in the first room and the scare in the last room. And they told me they really enjoyed being the distract more than they ever thought they would.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it gives you a chance to engage with your customers in a way that you normally don't as a startle.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that'll make a loud noise or pop out from a hidden area.
One fun thing to do is go to like Party City or somewhere like a party supply store and just find a bunch of random noisemakers.
Yeah.
some of the clackers, the spinny things. Just find some random bullshit.
Get some kazoos.
Get some kazoos. Vuvuzela if they got it. Christ, go nuts. Man, that's a word we hasn't been uttered in like a decade. Vuvuzela. Jesus Christ, Jonathan. Busting out the deep cuts on the noisemakers. But no, yeah, go buy some random party stuff and use those to make very unusual, out-of-place noises very loudly at a safe distance for people's hearing and your own. But yeah, that's such an effective scare. And you don't even necessarily have to come out of the hidden area sometimes, depending on how the noise is.
Right.
And also, the ever so classic, just sneak up and join a group.
Yeah.
I love when actors do this well. Because the main thing that actors mess up, well, the main problem actors have with this is that honestly, the throughput in a haunt can be weird. Yeah. And groups get mashed and pulled together and pulled apart and whatnot. So they can be very difficult to actually do this in a functioning haunt. But the times I've seen an actor pull this off well, it's always fun. Yeah. And I especially love it because if we go through with some strangers to us, the strangers are usually ahead of us. And we're hanging back and we're taking our slower tour of the haunt and we're looking at things. So the actor can just easily slip in the middle and scare the blowing shit out of the people, the randos we went in with. And that's always great and brings a smile to my face. But it's a very simple scare as long as you have the confidence of movement and feel comfortable getting in that personal space. But yeah, it's that one is surprisingly easy to learn. It sounds like a difficult scare, but it's not. On that note, everyone, thank you. Hope some of this maybe inspired someone you know to get involved with haunting. My genuine belief is that haunting is for everybody who wants it to be for them, who wants to enjoy it. Yeah. All they need is either the right scene built for them or the right instruction to guide them. Yeah. One or the other, maybe a little bit of both. But either way, absolutely everyone who wants to be scary can be scary. Just finding the right formula. Well, on that note, everyone, thank you for spending the past hour or so with us. Greatly appreciated. I know this episode was a little late this week, but it's because we were so dead tired from Sunday and taking down the 90% of the yard display. If you want to listen to other Haunt Weekly, check us out. HauntWeekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and YouTube.com/Haunt Weekly. Until next time, though, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week with episode 416, divisible by 4. It means it's time to do the news. And we actually have a lot to go over, so it's going to be an interesting news episode. See y'all then.